and paid him money. And while he was doing it, he had started his writing. He was a great writer in Gujarati, his mother tongue, English, Hindi, knew Sanskrit also very well. And his contribution in the development of English and Hindi was also tremendous. He was joint editor with Munshi Premchand of a magazine called House, with two editors, Kanayala Munshi and Munshi Premchand in those days. So his contribution was tremendous. But he started writing already when he was practicing the law. Then he joined the freedom struggle, went to Mahatma Gandhi, joined the freedom struggle. He was imprisoned thrice, last time for 2 years. And fortunately, he was put with Sardar Patel in the jail, and they developed tremendously beautiful relationship. And later on, you know, Sardar utilized Munshi in his services in Free India. Now, in law, he rose to be one of the very best. When he died, Bombay High Court held a reference. High Court reference is just like a condolence meeting, a tribute meeting. There you see the Chief Justice Kotwal and others. I was surprised. They said that Munshi had reached the top in the world of law. There are so many beautiful stories. You see, every aspect of Munshi is a subject by itself. One cannot cover it. Only one incident I will tell you. There was a chief, this incident was told to me by Governor Bharadwaj of Karnataka. Bharadwaj was Munshiji's deputy in Northern India. Whenever there will be case in Northern India, Munshiji will refer it to him and take his assistance. There was a chief minister of Punjab whose name perhaps all of us know. He was highly efficient chief minister but highly dictatorial also. He would like to have his way. So he asked the Director General of Police, then the Inspector General, the Chief of Police of the state, to do something which was wrong morally. So he refused to do it. So the Chief Minister put 3 cases on him. And that Chief Minister was so powerful that everybody was afraid of him. So that Inspector General did not get any lawyer at all. Nobody was ready to do it. Then somebody told him that you tell Munshi will be the man. Munshi was fearless throughout his life. So Munshi immediately accepted the brief, asked Bharadwaj to go there, study this, and very only one instance of his legal genius. Asked Bharadwaj to go there. He reached Chandigarh at about 10 in the night, sat up to 3 p.m. with Bharadwaj, studied all the papers, and next day the case was so important that the Chief Justice had a full bench to listen to it straight away. He started arguing before, from 10 to 3, he has studied the whole thing, he has understood the whole problem, and he appeared before the court. He started speaking, and after 1 hour the Chief Justice stopped him, that Mr. Munshi, enough, we are ruling in the favor of your client. You see, such was a genius man. While he was doing all this law, when he entered freedom, there will be breaks in his legal aid. Once there is a big break, because he will be freedom fighting, he will be creating literature. You see, to come back was very, very difficult, but then he would always come back. And when he eventually gave up, somebody asked him that such lucrative practice, why should you go? He said that I am intelligent enough to make money, but I am not foolish enough to continue to make money. Economically, freedom he required to give vent to his creative energy. That independence he got from the legal profession. By that time, his literary activities were going on, and in Gujarati literature, you see, he wrote historic novels like Pachandi Prabhuta, Gujarat Nath, Raja Dhiraj. There was a series, Jai Somnath, and then a novel on Bhavan Parshuram. Such a rage he became. Even today, he is one of the best sellers. Even today, he has given his royalty to Bhavan And edition after edition keeps on coming of these novels. But at that time it becomes such a rage that the characters of the novel, say one Munjal, one Kak, one Manjari, people used to give their children, sons and daughters the name of that character. And for 20 years, it was Munshi age of Gujarati literature. In Gujarati literature, it was Munshi age of Gujarati literature. He had reached the top of his literature. He had reached the top of the law already. And see, in literature also, he has written in Hindi. The Krishnavatar, as I said before, is written in English. He was master of these languages. And he did great service. And in Sanskrit, he established Sanskrit Vishwa Parishad, which did marvelous job for decades together. His service contribution to Sanskrit, when the Sanskrit thing was opened in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, you see, students were hard to come by because Sanskrit doesn't have material benefits as people would like to have. So, through our students, till today, decades have passed, even today this practice continues. Our Sanskrit students get free accommodation, gets free food into one of the best hotels in Bombay, and no restriction on money. They can eat what they like. Into very, very poor cases, even pocket expense, and free 6 years intense Sanskrit tuition. At that time, if you are genius enough or if you are hardworking enough, you can take free course in our colleges where you can become BA, MA or MSc or MCom. Free, of totally free. This still continues. So his contribution to Sanskrit, his contribution to this was something fantastic. Journalism. You see, he was editor of 2 of Gandhi's Gujarati papers. He was editor, as I said, with Munshi Premchand of the Hindi magazine House. Simultaneously write novels and practice law and fight for freedom and go to jail and all this. This was his genius. Dr. Rajendra Prasad had put it rightly. He has said that among the leaders who emerged around Nehru, Munshi was the greatest versatile genius, and nobody can hold the candle. Nobody among those leaders around Gandhiji can hold the candle before Munshi in his versatility. Such a versatile man comes, according to me, once in 200 years. And you know, he would do every activity with the purpose of helping people if they can be helped. 100 examples, I will give you only one. We had Narayananji as our Rashtrapati. He came from a very poor backward family and all that. Backward community and poor. So he in a feast wrote to J.R.D. Tata handwritten. So when Munshiji was in London, he just narrated to it. Munshiji immediately said, "You become London representative of my weekly." I forgot the name of the weekly, unfortunately. You become, so that's right. So you become the representative of that. And Narayanan wrote later that, you see, my little food here and there came from Munshi, and thanks to Munshi. He's always, any activity in Bhavan also, does it help? Does it help somebody? That was his concern. He, in literature, I have told you how he reached the very top. In law, I told you how to reach the very top. And he was fiercely independent person. He had his differences with Gandhi. I have seen his correspondence with Mahatma Gandhi between the two. I have seen the correspondence with Sardar Patel and with the two and all. Hyderabad. His aspects are so many that you see, I can't, सिलसिलाबंद में नहीं बोल सकता हूँ. कभी ये चमकार आता है, कभी ये यहाँ बिजली चमकती है. तो Hyderabad, when Hyderabad, when Razakars were on rampage and all that, Sardar Patel sent him as our representative. What he did there, we all know. He came back successful. At that time, Munshi would not do anything without asking Mahatma Gandhi. Any major thing he has to do in his life, he would go to Bapu. So when Sardar asked him to go, he went to Bapu and said, Bapu, shall I go? He said, yes, Munshi, it is your national duty, you should go. Bapu, two conditions. In those days, constitution drafting had begun. I would not give up my constitution drafting work and I would not take any salary. These two conditions, I will go. And then Gandhiji told Sardar and he went, and what he did in Hyderabad, we all knew. You see, he became Home Minister in the interim government of Bombay. In those days, Bombay was a combination of Maharashtra, Gujarat, big province. In late 1935, isn't it, Bilal? After 35, 36, I think. So provincial government were formed with the consent of the British. And they were the elected government. For Bombay, Munshi was the natural candidate. He was a tall Congress leader by that time. But what had happened was that Britishers said that this is a fine interim government, but how are these Indians going to maintain law and order? They are unable to maintain law and order. So Sardar felt very bad. So he told Munshi that, Munshi, you are the candidate for the chief ministership, but you become home minister and show them what an Indian can do. And another point was that they required a Maharashtrian as a chief minister. So Khair Sahib, a very cultured mind, B.G. Khair, he was chief minister and Munshi became home minister. Few days after he became home minister, I will dwell a little length on home ministry because he remained home minister of Bombay for 2 years and 4 months. 2 years and 4 months. And what he did during that time, which is an example to our present rulers and ministers of how a minister has to work. It's a textbook of how a minister has to work. With what energy, with what vision, with what, few days after communal riots broke out in Bombay. And he was on a tour of interior Maharashtra, came back, and at 8 p.m. in the night he receives a telephone from British police commissioner. There was a Britisher. He said, sir, terrible thing has happened, and in these areas the communal riots have broken out. 5 persons have already been dead. But don't worry, sir, we are bringing it into control. And she said, what? He immediately rushes to the commissioner's office, occupies his chair to show who is the boss, take things into his hand. And first thing he did was that the leaders of both the communities who aroused no riots take place without pre-planning or without people with vested interests butting into it. So he said, these leaders who aroused this, arrest them. So the police commissioner said, sir, governor, I have talked to governor, and the governor said that if you do that, the riots will spread further. He said, nothing doing. Impose the curfew and put them behind the bars. And anybody suspect or on the streets, put them behind the bars. Then he rings up the commissioner of prison, Inspector General of Prison, whose quarters were in Pune. He was again a British. He told him that Mr. So-and-so, make provision for 2,000 to 3,000 prisoners in Bombay. Where do I keep them? That fellow he said that, sir, at this hour in the night, how can I? He said, think. So it is difficult. If you can't do it, step down. I will manage, but you step down, just down. So that fellow somehow managed it. There are Worli chawls in Bombay. So there in that chawls, he said 2,000 and odd people were put inside. Then he summoned the newspapers. He said that, you see, you are arousing the communal feelings by several ways, including separate giving name, Muslim separate, Hindu separate, Sikh separate, etc. He said that nothing doing. And he introduced censorship for the night, for that riot period. Nothing should be published without it, which was against a law, for which Chief Justice had admonished Munshi afterwards. He brought the entire situation under control within a night. And next day, Times of India gave the headline that Bombay woke up to a peaceful morning without realizing it was sitting on a volcano. In one night, the entire thing was smashed to pieces. Afterwards, somebody challenged that law which he brought, the rule which he brought. And Chief Justice, Britisher again, he declared it illegal and then bragged at Munshi at a function that Munshi, I have declared your law illegal. I said, sir, but by that time my work was done. Is it expected of such a lawyer from you? He said, Munshi, you must have respect for law. He said, sir, right, but my duty comes before your duty, and again if this happens, I will again do it. Then again, you see, I will take very strict measures. The Chief Justice said, sir, that will come afterwards. If there is law, and if there is order, and if still you are in your chair. So, this is Julius Ribeiro, the police commissioner of Bombay, has told me that Bombay police is still following Munshi's methods of tackling the riots. Such a genius. Then it again, in his 2 years terms, it happens twice. Huh? Next time it was immediately nipped in the bud. Then you see there was criminal tribes in Maharashtra. They are dubbed as criminals. Every child born today is dubbed as criminal. So Munshi ji wanted to tackle that problem. He went to those criminal tribes, stayed with them overnight, and based schemes for their education, brought them into the mainstream, and in 2 years' time, the entire criminal tribe problem was solved. Munshi ji was a great Brahmin. No function of the Bhavan will start, or no institution building of the Bhavan, any Bhavan's institution will start without puja, elaborate puja. He himself would sit into it, the Vedas and Upanishads and everything. But he was a true religious person. A true religious person is a person who doesn't see wall and wall between human beings. The wall of religion, the wall of caste, the wall of that and wall of this. So, Maharashtra was the first state to have Harijan entry into the temple. It was entirely handiwork of Kanhayalal Munshi. He saw to it, and Sanatani Brahmins and all, he was even stoned at a meeting of the Sanatanis, stones were thrown at him. But he would not. And he was a great social reformer also. I don't have time to narrate everything that. But he then temple entry, Harijan entry हो गया. Then small matter, Royal Western India Turf Club, उसका license renew करने के लिए मुंशी जी के पास आया, because it was prerogative of Home Minister. He read the license, he read the board of directors. He said, all of you are British. I want 50% Indians on this immediately. Otherwise, I am not renewing the license. Oh, Royal West India Turf Club, very powerful organization and very rich people. And so governor intervened. Chief Minister Khair said, Munshi bhai, जाने दो ना, क्यों छोटी सी बात में झगड़ा लेते हैं? छोटी सी बात नहीं है भाई. He has to, they have to. So they were bound to. They came back after 7 days. That sir, half of them are Indians now. Okay, fine. Then he looked at the budget and said that 70% of your income is going to export of the horse. The money is going out of the country. Can't you have a horse breeding industry? From your funds, allot this much rupees for starting horse breeding industry. Otherwise, I am not going to renew. Again trouble, again governor intervention. He said nothing doing, and they have to beat it. With the result, Munshi is called father of the horse breeding industry of India. And when the Green Revolution came, it was a great help to them. In Green Revolution, this horses breeding industry, it is a story by itself. Then you see, Home Minister's Conference was held, in which Munshi piloted police reforms. The Central School of Police was Munshi's idea, and it was established during that time. And he made police more respectable in the eyes of the people. And he removed the discrimination of British police and non-British police, Indian police. For instance, the sub-inspectors were called sergeants if you are British. But if you are Indian, you are called sub-inspector. There were several anomalies like this. He removed all these anomalies. Removed all these. Now, Britishers had several positive traits, Some of them, they may be big administrators, but they will take interest in Indian languages, in Indian flowers and all that type of thing. So that police commissioner who was during that riot I talked about, they would write their memoirs when they returned to London. When he returned to London, he wrote the memoir. After Chief of Maharashtra, Bombay Police, he became Chief of entire India. And then in his memoir he writes that it was a pleasure to work with Munshi ji. And I have never seen his leadership qualities anywhere. Now when this interim government was formed, Indians were ridiculed that what are you going to do and all that. Britishers were in opposition. So the opposite leader, a very distinguished Britisher, I forget the name now, so that opposition leader wrote again his memoirs after going to Britain. And he said that to our surprise, we found ourselves more often agreeing with the government than opposing it. Then he asks why. He answers that it was because of K.M. Munshi. He carried with us. He would come and Munshi was a great person. He was a lawyer now. His persuasion power was fantastic. Fantastic. So he persuaded them that this is good for the people and carried with us. And he said that he is praising Munshi like anything. See? Such was this person. Then he became food minister, food and agriculture minister in the central ministry. There you see, after 2 years, 2 and a few months again, see some politics or whatever it is, he was shifted as governor of Uttar Pradesh. And his contribution during these 2 years is again a story by itself. I will take half an hour of what he did. But I will tell you only one thing. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was our first food minister, before he became Rashtrapati, he wrote to Munshi, and I almost quote here, one word here or there, that Munshi, but for you, Gujarat last year and Bihar this year would have become another Bengal. That means Munshi's policies as food minister prevented famine being occurred in Gujarat and in Bihar. Such was his work. When he became governor of Uttar Pradesh, you see, he saw that governor's powers were not much, not much that he can do. But he was chief of the universities. He was a chancellor. So he asserted himself as chancellor, started 3 new universities in Uttar Pradesh, Roorkee and 2 others, and held the conferences of vice chancellors all over India, gave them guidelines, and did wonderful job for Uttar Pradesh in the field of education. He threw open the Raj Bhavan for public and started organizing performing arts functions, dance, music, drama. Munshi was a great promoter of performing arts, dance, drama, and music and all that. And therefore, Home Minister take his tenure in Bombay as governor, take his tenure in the. It is just like a textbook for, do's and don'ts for that. Such ideal was his performance. He was a great educationist. Even today, Bombay University runs under a law entirely drafted by Munshi and piloted not only in the Senate of University but in the Bombay Legislative Assembly. Bombay University, some nomenclature is there. In development of Bombay University, his contribution was so much, it's a story by itself, that There are 3 statues in the Convocation Hall of Bombay University. One of them is Firoz Mehta, one of them is Munshi. The third is, I think, Kendra, who paid a huge amount to Bombay University. Such was his contribution. And when Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad wanted to establish a university, he made Munshi the chairman of the bank for that. And so his establishment of Baroda University and in Gujarat University, his contribution was as a great educationist, tremendous. Therefore, as I was saying, and all this he did simultaneously with a fragile health. This is the most surprising part of it. That how could he do that? You see, had he channelized his energy in one direction, I think he might have become once in centuries man in that field of endeavor. But as I said, his genius, his versatility was so profound that he had to attend to several areas. He was an institution builder, and long before he established Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, he established a home for the spastics, a home for the blind, home for the teacher, a hospital, and 2 schools in Bombay. Along with his friends, of course, but he played the major role. He was such an institution builder. And simultaneously, from early 1930s, he started thinking that he has written that I was convinced that Bapu is going to bring the freedom. There is no doubt. Afterwards, what will happen? The economic factor, the social factor, the democracy factor will be looked after by Nehru, Sardar, Maulana and others. But what about the culture? If India doesn't turn back from Britishers' educational system and others, and if it doesn't turn back to its own culture, what will happen? So there has to be a cultural moment. He's taking 20 years before independence came. He goes to Bapu as usual and asks Mahatma, Gandhiji said that you are absolutely right. You go ahead, I bless you. Your institution will thrive. Go ahead. So that is what the most thing we are proud of in Bhavan is that it has been established by the blessings of the Lord. When Atal Bihari Vajpayee was Prime Minister, he had said, and we have an opinion booklet. If you have not read it, please read. There, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's opinion on 2 pages, what he said about Bhavan, in which he said that, do you want to see the power of blessings of Mahatma Gandhi? Go and see Bharatiya Vidya. See, so I mean, I'm sorry, I become a little emotional. Then you see, Munshi ji started Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in 1938 in a small room in Khalsa College in Bombay. And he worked so hard. At that time, you see, his freedom struggle was continuing. At that time, his literature was continuing. So he started it and worked for it and created infrastructure.
There is half an hour more. If you want to go out, please go.
And then starts engages scholars like Valankar and gigantic scholars engages, and then Ardhamagdi language. Our ancient language, which have got treasure in it, then he started a Singhi Jain series. Singhi is the name of the donor. As Jain manuscripts he dug out and started that. Then you see, he bought over a printing press. Then he started magazines. Then he started books. You see, he created the infrastructure. He started buying or acquiring or getting from the government or donors land wherever he could get it, and so infrastructure was built. Then history. He engaged 70 historians and scholars to write history of India from Vedic times to 1947. 10 volumes, big 10 volumes. It took more than 27 years to finish the job. And this panel was headed by Dr. R.C. Majumdar, the great historian. And this itself is something to be, amazed about what he did with the history of India. Then, he started a school, one college, and all that infrastructure was created. And he brought in people like this Delhi land. Because of Munshi's influence, it was given to Bharatiya Vidya Board. 1 year passed, 2 years passed, we were short of money. And there was absolutely no money. Therefore, government said, give us back, you are not using it for the purpose you have been given. So, my boss, the late Mr. Ramakrishnan, who was Executive Secretary of Bhavan for more than 40 years, he conceived an idea and did peace tents on this land and gave free tuition to the children of the MP's quarters all around, of the poor class for employees. The government was very sympathetic, secretaries were sympathetic. They say our purpose is served, we have got the extension of 1 more year. Then came the father of our present president, Vidya, who was our vice president for years and who was our president for 7 years. Mehta's family's contribution to Bhavan, Munshi used to call him my Bamasa. So, or